Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we have a very exciting video. I'm gonna do 3 looks using both the Lunar Beauty Moonspell palette and the Melt Gemini palette. I had a couple comments of people requesting the Gemini and also the Moonspell, so I was like, perfect, let's use them in conjunction with each other. And I think that was honestly like a super smart decision on my part because they go so well together. Like they really pair honestly flawlessly together. I did one green look, one more neutral look, and one obviously purple look. This is the 3rd look that I'm wearing. So I feel like I kind of touched all the aspects of the Moonspell palette color story. I had a really great time filming this video and I don't think I have anything else to say. I feel like this might be a long one. I tried to really not talk at all during my looks, so we'll just go through them and yeah, that's all I have to say. So let's get into the tutorials. Okay, so the first look that I'm going to do is I'm going to play with some of the greens, these greens down here from the Moonspell palette, and also obviously some of these greens from the Gemini. These are some of my favorite colors from all of the palettes, so let's get into it. I'm first going to use this Bonnie shade. It's this lighter green shade from the Moonspell palette, and I'm going to use this as a transition shade in my crease. And I've also primed my eyes using the NARS Smudge Proof eyeshadow base, as I always do, and I've set my lids as well. And I'm gonna try to just not speed through, but talk as little as possible during these while I'm doing my eyeshadow, because it takes me like 25 minutes to do 1 look in a video, so 3, I feel like I'm really just gonna have to shut the fuck up. Now that I have that Bonnie shade in my crease, I'm going to put the shade Marnie in my crease and my outer corner as well. Now that I have that in my crease, I'm going to take a totally clean brush and blend it out. Okay, so now I'm going to jump into the Gemini palette to deepen things up, and I'm going to take this shade Leo. It's like a deep mossy green, and I'm going to put that in my crease and my outer corner as well, but I'm not going to blend it as high. And now I'm going to take the same brush that I used the Marnie shade on, which was the medium green, and I'm going to blend the Leo shade out. I'm not taking any additional product. I'm just blending the edges out so I get a better blend. This is something that I do all the time. I've talked about this before. I basically do it every time I do my eyeshadow, so nothing's new. And I went back and forth between using this shade Mary here in the Moonspell palette. It's a beautiful, really sparkly taupe, but I think I'm just gonna go really all in with the grains today. So I'm going to use the shade Goals from the Gemini palette, and I prefer this green metallic shade to the like coppery shade that's in the Gemini palette. I find it a little bit flaky. This one I don't mind as much, and I'm just gonna wet that, and I'm not gonna cut my crease or anything. I'm just gonna put that all over my lid. And now I'm just going to take a touch more of the Marnie shade, which is the mid-toned green, and buff that just around the edges of the metallic shade, and also blend this onto the lid slightly as well. And I'm also going to take a touch more of the Leo shade and basically do the same thing. And also deepen up the outer corner, just a touch more. I'm going to take a touch more of the Bonnie shade and blend that all around the edge of my eyeshadow, just so we get a little bit of that bright green back, as sometimes it can get a little blended away. And I'm going to take a little bit of the shade Goals on my lid with my finger and just tap that on my lid just to get a little bit more intensity out of that shade. So beautiful. And I'm gonna speed through my lower lash line. It's nothing new. It's basically the same thing I do every time. I just really want a full like green smoky eye today. So I'm going to take the shade Marnie and put this all along my lower lash line. And I'm going to take that same Marnie shade on the other side of this brush. It's just a little fluffy brush, and I'm going to blend that green shade out. Now I'm going to take a small little brush, and I'm going to take the shade Leo, which is the deepest green, put that all along my lower lash line, and then I'm going to blend it out with a pencil brush. And I'm going to take the shade Bonnie and blend everything out. I'm basically mirroring what I did in my crease on my lower lash line. And for my inner corner and my brow bone, I'm just going to use my face highlighter because there isn't really a shade that works super well in either of these palettes for that for me. So I'm going to use the Melt Digital Dust Highlighter in the shade Stargazer. It's basically just a light champagne. I'm going to put that in my inner corners and my brow bone. Okay, and that's basically it for the eyes. So I'm going to quickly do liner and lashes and put something on my lips, and then we'll be right back. Okay, so this is the finished look. I really, really love these greens. I think they are literally the perfect greens for fall, and I just think specifically the greens in both these palettes complement each other so well. So just quickly, I did obviously liner and lashes. In my waterline, I used the ColourPop Creme Gel Liner in the shade Overboard. It's like a bronze. For some reason, I'm like obsessed with using bronzes in my waterline when I wear like green eyeshadow. I don't know what it is, but I really like the way it looks. I also put a little bit of black in my outer corner. I used the shade Bonnie from the Gemini palette. On my lips, I have the Rimmel lip liner in Natural and the Propa Beauty Luminous Satin Lipstick in the shade Finesse. If you haven't seen my video on that, check it out. It's the one that I uploaded last week. I don't know if it's the one I just uploaded. I'm not going to talk for any longer because we have 2 more looks to do. Okay, and welcome to look number 2. So today I'm going to be doing something a little bit more neutral but still smoky, and It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. We're gonna use some of the mustardy tones from the Gemini palette. So I'm going to start off with the shade Lorelei. It's the like mustard, true mustard tone from the Gemini palette. I'm going to put this in my crease as a transition shade. And this is easily one of my favorite shadows in my entire collection. I feel like I have a lot of yellows, but I don't have a lot of true grungy mustards, and this is the shit. And I also primed my eyes using the NARS Smudge Proof eyeshadow base, and I set my lids as well. Okay, now that we have that beautiful, beautiful shade in my crease, I'm going to take the shade Kiki from the Moonspell palette. It is a pretty neutral, I would say, brown, and I'm going to put that in my crease and my outer corner. We're going for neutral, but not necessarily subtle. It's kind of the way that I approach neutral looks. And now I'm going to take a totally clean brush and blend the edges out of the shade. Okay, and now I'm going to deepen things up even more with the shade Cupcake from the Gemini palette. It's pretty similar in tone to Kiki, but I think it's just a little bit deeper in depth. So I'm going to put that in my outer corner and my crease as well. Going to take the brush that I used the Kiki shade on, which was that medium toned brown, and just blend out the Cupcake shade. And I will say, I just want to give a quick little shout out. I've been listening to, I'm listening to this while I'm doing this now, and I have been listening to it. Obviously prior to this, it's the Shine Brighter Together podcast. It's the Shine Brighter Together podcast by Monique Melton. She is, among many other things, an anti-racism educator, and I have been listening to her podcast, and I think it is so great. If you are white like me, I would strongly encourage you to go check it out and go give her work some love. So now that I have my crease done almost, I'm going to quickly cut my crease. I'm just going to do a half cut crease. That's boring, so I'm not going to do that on camera, and then I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. If I'm not in focus, I'm gonna cry. But I'm going to take the Kiki shade I don't really feel like I need it because my crease was already pretty deep. But I'm just going to quickly run that over the edge of the concealer just to maintain the depth there. And then I'm also going to put that, merge that into the concealer on my lid a little bit as well. And then I'm basically going to do the exact same steps with Cupcake, which is the deepest brown that I used. And then I'm going to use that to deepen up the outer corner as well. Okay, so now on the center of my eyelid, I'm going to take the Gemini shade, which is the copper shade from the Gemini palette. I'm just going to put that in the center of my lid, and I did spray this. I feel like you kind of have to spray melt shadows because they're very crumbly, particularly from this palette. I'm going to use the shade Hermione from the Moonspell palette. This is an annoying shade. It's really pretty, but it's annoying. After swatching it and using it, I think I've only used this once. It's gotten hard pan, so you kind of have to like scrape a little bit off the top in the pan and then pick it up with your brush. Anyway, so that's what I'm doing. And then I'm also going to spray it, and I'm going to put that on the inner part of my lid. And I'm going to take a little bit more of the Gemini shade and basically just blend them into each other. And then I'm going to take a little bit more of the Kiki shade and just tap this over the edge just so we don't have such a harsh line. And I'm going to take both of these shades and pat them on my finger and pat them over the shadow that's already on my lid, just so I get a little bit more intensity, particularly this Hermione shade or the shades in the Moonspell palette. I feel like you get a lot more impact out of them when you use them with your finger, which is kind of annoying because I kind of hate to do that, but it's what it's. I'm going to quickly zoom through my lower lash line. Again, it's not going to be anything super crazy or anything. It's basically what I always do. Right now I'm just taking the shade Kiki and I'm putting this all along my lower lash line, and then I'm going to blend it out. And I'm going to take the Cupcake shade, which is the deepest brown from the Gemini palette, and put that all along my lower lash line, again a little bit closer to my lashes, and I'm going to blend that out with a pencil brush. And now I'm going to take the shade Lorelei that we initially used, the mustard shade, and we're going to blend this basically everywhere. And for my inner corner and brow bone highlight, I'm going to take my face highlighter again. It's the same Melt Digital Dust highlighter in the shade Stargazer. I feel like I'm probably going to use this for every single look. Okay, and that's pretty much my eyeshadow finished. I'm going to quickly do liner and put some lashes on, something on my lips, and then we'll be done. Okay, so this is the finished look. I used the ColourPop Creme Gel Liner in the shade Puppy. It's an orange in my waterline, and I used the ColourPop Ultra Matte Lip in the shade Cloudscape. I'm almost positive that this is discontinued, and I'm on a break from ColourPop. I'm not really buying from them, but I am trying to use my lip products that are going to expire. And I haven't done a deep lip or a deep brown lip in a while, so I thought it would go really well with this look. Like I said, neutral but not necessarily subtle. I really love this. I love the the mustard tones in the Gemini palette, and I think it works super well with the tones in the Moonspell palette. I will stop talking because I have to pee, and also my roommate needs to use the living room. So let's just get on with the third and final look. All right, so this is the third and final look. So it's going to be mostly using the Moonspell palette. So I'm going to play with some of the purples in here. I'm going to start off with the shade Sarah. It's basically just like a light mauve color. And I'm going to use this as my transition shade. I'm going to just put this in my crease and build it up. And I've primed my eyes using the NARS Smudge Proof eyeshadow base. And I've set my lids as well as usual. Okay, so now that I have that shade down in my crease, I'm going to take the shade Page. I don't know if you can see any of that, but it's basically like a light purple. And I'm going to take that in on my outer corner and in my crease. Playing with this palette for this video just makes me fall in love with it even more. I think it's so fucking good, and I'm realizing how well these two palettes pair together. And I'm quickly going to blend that out with a totally clean brush. Okay, so now I want to deepen things up using this Sabrina shade. It's like a bright purple that's a little bit deeper, but it's not quite as deep as I want it to be. So I'm going to mix it with the black from the Melt palette. This is the shade Bonnie. And I'm just going to dab back and forth between them, taking mostly Sabrina, the purple shade, but just slightly tapping it into the black. So I built that up in my crease, and I'm going to take the same brush that I used the shade Page on and blend that out. Okay, so now we're going to play with some of the shimmers, which I'm very excited about. So I'm first going to take the shade Piper. I'm going to spray it, and I'm going to put this in the middle of my lid. And I'm going to very slightly blend that out, but just like very slightly. And then on the other side of that brush, I'm going to take the shade Phoebe, which is this metallic purple with a blue shift to it. I'm going to wet that as well and put this on the inner third of my eye. This is also one of my favorite shades in the palette. It's so beautiful. I feel like metallic purples with blue shifts, no matter how many I have, they just never get old. Okay, so I'm gonna go in to a dab of Sabrina by itself and just go over the edges, like very little product, very slightly, just to like blend everything together. And then I'm going to take a little more Sabrina again by itself and merge the metallic Piper shade that I have on the middle of my lid. Just blend them together. And then I'm going to take a little bit of Sabrina and Bonnie mixed, so that black and the purple mixed, and just deepen up the outer corner just a little more. And then I'm going to go in with the two metallic purples on my finger and just intensify them on my lid as well, blending it a little bit into the crease. And that's basically it. It's pretty simple, but I'm just going to go into the shade Sarah one more time, which is the very first transition shade that we used, and go over the edges of that. And I will likely just speed through the lower lash line as usual, but I'm just going to put the shade page all along my lower lash line and blend it out. So my camera just cut off, so I feel like it's in overheating mode, so we're gonna try to fucking speed through this. But I'm going to take the shade Sabrina and Bonnie, mix and run that all along my lower lash line and blend that out with the pencil brush. And I'm going to blend the edges of that out with the shade Sarah. I'm not sure if this is going to look super weird or not, but I'm actually going to take the shade Fiona. It's the deep metallic teal in the Moonspell palette. I'm going to wet it just so there's no like fallout or anything, and I'm going to put that right on the inner portion of my lower lash line. Ooh, that looks super cool. And for my inner corner, I'm going to use the shade Prue. It's this light iridescent light purple shade. I'm going to take that on a brush and I'm going to wet this as well. I think this is important to wet this shade because it's very flaky. It's more of like a true topper shade. It's really beautiful, but definitely you need to wet it or use a glitter glue or something with it. Okay, I'm just going to put the face highlighter that I used today on my brow bone. It's the same Melt one that I've used this whole video, and I'm going to put liner and lashes on, something on my lips, and then we'll be done. Okay, and that is the finished look. I just put a black in my waterline, and I used the Fenty Beauty Gloss Bomb in the shade Fussy, my fave lip gloss ever, on my lips. And I also used the Essence Soft Contour Lip Liner in the shade Lost in Love. And this concludes this 3 looks 2 palettes video. I had so much fun with this. Honestly, I really want to do more of these types of videos. Let me know if you liked it, because I really loved filming it, even though it took me a while. It took me obviously like 3 days to film this, but I had so much fun. It's so fun to revisit your old palettes and use them. Like, who would have ever thought? But yeah, let me know if there's any other palettes you want me to do like multiple looks with, any palettes that you want me to combine, because I also like the aspect of combining these. I feel like they go so well together. Yeah. There was no video on Friday. I'll just put this out there because it was so bad. I filmed it. It was so bad. I didn't even watch the footage back. I just deleted it. So we're getting one video this week. I'm sure so many of you are just so sad about it. Anyway, Thank you so much for watching, and I hopefully will see you next time. Bye! They're not the most revolutionary eyeshadow looks, but when are they ever on my channel? But this is the green look.